glad to bring in the new head coach of the Farrington Governors football program. That's Mike Lafaele, who joins us now on ESPN Honolulu. Coach, congratulations. What's it like to take the lead on a program like Farrington's?
Josh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I can just tell you I'm excited about the opportunity to be back in Kali, this year as a defensive coordinator, but now being able to take over as a head coaching. I'm excited for it, and I think there's just a lot of work to be done, and it's a great task at hand that I'm excited about.
I know you were talking to Rob DeMello earlier today, and you were talking about guys who have been mentors to you. Daniel Sanchez now retiring. You listed him as one of your mentors. Describe what you've learned from him, leading to this opportunity. What will you take away from him that will help you moving forward?
I'll just take from him just his realness. I think Coach Daniel Sanchez took on, a job that's not different. It's not easy. Being in Kali and dealing with that type of people group, it's one that I've been a part of. That's where I was born and raised, and so I think it's important to understand the community that you're involved with. And one thing I'll take away from him growing up, playing football at Farrington and then also being a coach under him was just to be yourself and be real, and to understand the kids and to know that, the kids in Kali are a little bit different. They come from different backgrounds, and a lot of them come from hardships, whether it's social or economic. A lot of these kids deal with different types of things, and so you kind of be more of a father figure to them than you are a coach. And so, I saw a lot of that in Coach Sanchez and Coach Kamal and Coach Randall Okimoto throughout the years being around the program. And so that's one of the things I definitely took in as a coach.
We had a conversation with Sitani Mikaele just a week or so ago, and he was talking about his transition to the running back position, and he credited you in how he was kind of impressed upon him that, hey, you were good defensively, but you kind of really fit in this role. Running the football, he runs for almost 1,600 yards, 18 touchdowns. The team goes to the HHSAA state tournament. Describe that for me, because that's that's a pretty neat situation to be able to kind of mold someone, even into a position that's incredibly different and still show them the success and actually help guide them there too.
Yeah, that was one of the interesting things. So I think Sitani was up in the mainland playing football up in California, I think since COVID. And then he transferred down, I think in the spring, and was going to play defensive end. And then he showed up at Tech Athletics, in training. And he was training with a former Warrior, University of Hawaii alumnus, Mephi Kolomotangi, up in California. And I think Mephi had told him, hey, if you go down and train back home, I said, you got to hit up Coach Mike. And so the first time I ever saw him worked out, he was, I knew he was a defensive lineman, defensive end, edge player. And I remember just watching him run. We were just doing agility drills in the gym, and I looked at him and I'm like, dude, are you a running back? And he said, oh, Coach, I play D-line. I'm like, nah, man. You don't move like one. I've been around, growing up in Farrington, in Kali. That's all we knew was running the ball. So I've seen running backs and how they move. And then playing at the University of Hawaii, watching one of my, my best friends, Navy Lau, run the football. And he's kind of built like that, and I just said, dude, you look like a running back. And I said, you should probably think about that instead of playing defense. And so we talked a lot about those things, and, and he ended up transferring to Farrington and just did an amazing job for the program and an amazing job for himself. So I'm very proud of him and what he's accomplished this year.
That seems like something that feels like an advantage that you kind of help bring, that when you hear success stories like that, and Sitani is certainly one of them, you're someone that it wasn't long ago that you played college football. You're someone that knows that kind of talent, that bringing that knowledge of how to, put people in the right positions to succeed, not just, currently, but also where it could lead them going forward. That's something I'm sure that a lot of high school athletes, even their parents, would love to play for.
Absolutely. I think as a coach, that's one thing you got to do is have a really good eye for talent, and then, where do you put that talent on your football team? I've worked with a bunch of kids, and there's been a handful of kids that thought they were defensive linemen. I looked at them and I said, you have a better shot getting to the next level playing offensive lineman, playing offensive tackle. And some kids listened, and the result ended up getting exposure and getting to the next level. And so I think that's just being around football, for a long time, and being around really good coaches and really good athletes, and get a good understanding of just a different type of talent and where you put them on the football field.
Mike Lafaele joining us. He's the new head football coach at Farrington. Of course, as you said, you were running the defense last year. You had a defense that held the run to 75 yards per game. Keeping teams down to about 22 points is very respectable in the high school football game, especially when you've got some high-powered offenses there in the mix. How happy were you defensively with what you saw from your team a year ago, and your hopes on building on that going into the upcoming year?
Yeah, I was really impressed with the guys that we had this year and the things that they did on the defensive side of the ball. I think I got to credit our coaching staff. The guys that we brought on board, Coach Lafaele and Coach Ray Sayers, Noah Selu, and those guys that were coaching that previous program before they came over to Farrington. But we really did a good job of putting really smart people and dedicated people to help put these guys in position to be successful. But I was excited about what we did, and it's not so much the outcomes for us as coaches, but it was more so about the processes that we implemented into this defense and into these young kids, and a lot of them bought in. Our secondary did a heck of a job. One of our corners led the state in interceptions, and that was special for him to do. And he's got one more year. This kid, Everest Rodriguez, is going to be a special player for us next year. And I think defensively, I was really satisfied with what we did. We came up short in the semifinal game, but that's football and that's life. So it's got to continue moving forward.
I'll ask you about offense. It feels like Farrington's kind of had that identity of a smash mouth offensive type program. You saw it in how the running game really took center stage. Is that something you'd like to continue? Do you see something differently there?
I think that's always going to be a part of Farrington, the type of brand of football that they play. It's physical, and so that's what I knew growing up. Growing up in Cleveland, playing at Farrington, and so I think that's something we're going to continue to do. Absolutely, be physical up front and really pound the ball. But I do think we are going to expand to spreading the offense out and allowing our quarterback to really do some special things with the football. So. That's our game plan, but for sure, absolutely stick to what we're really good at, and that's running the ball.
Mike Lafaele joining us, new head coach at Farrington. All right, I'm going to take the coach stuff away. I'm going to ask you a dad question. Your son obviously is committed to Wisconsin. We got to meet him. I think it was the student section a couple of months ago where I got to run into you. How excited are you for what's next for him?
And I'm very proud of what he's accomplished, as a high school player. And it's just our family, and a handful of people really know the journey that he's gone through, and so to see him and the success that he's had early on in his career, it's kind of a surreal thing. But just to see the amount of attention and exposure he's gotten himself, and it's a great feeling, and to have been able to coach him when he was over at St. Louis, and then now at Farrington his senior year, that was something special that I'm very thankful for. Thank God for it, because not too many dads can do that throughout with their kids, and so I was just blessed to have that opportunity.
Sometimes when you're when you're a son or daughter of someone who's played collegiately and you're playing that same sport, sometimes it feels like there's that expectation, hey, I've got to follow the footsteps of my mom or my dad in that respective sport. Did it ever, I mean, from your perspective, did you ever feel like, hey, I want him to do what he does and not ever worry about whatever, anybody else might say along something like that, just kind of follow his own path? Or were you one of those that, kind of wanted to use your path to help him get to his?
It was actually funny because when he was in 5th grade, we'd always drive by the sign, in Kaneohe for the Kaneohe Knights Pop Warner team. We'd pass it every football season, and I remember he was in 4th grade, and he'd always say, and I said, no, man, you're too young for it. And then 5th grade came and felt like he was big enough to, withstand the physicality of the game at that age. And he kept bugging me and his mom, and I'm like, dude, you sure? Because I know football, man, because once we start, we're starting. And so he said, yeah, I really want to do it. So my wife bugged me to go get him signed up, and I signed him up. And then that's when his journey started. And he really wanted it. And it was funny because he thought he was going to be, the next Odell Beckham Jr. And I remember I looked at him. I remember before he went to practice, his first day, and I told him, they're probably going to put you at O-line or defensive line. He's like, Dad, I'm going to play receiver. I said, okay, buddy. So he went to practice. I picked him up after, and I was there watching. But it was funny because I watched him. He ran a bunch of drills, and then at the end of the practice, they kind of put guys in positions, and I just seen him with all the big boys at the end of practice. And so he comes off the field. I'm like, so what? How's that OBJ thing going? And he's like, Dad, I'm playing offensive tackle. I was like, yeah, no, I told you, man. And so he fell in love with the game because he was literally, born into it. I was at the University of Hawaii when he was born. It's just a junior in college, and literally he's been around football his entire life. And so it's something that he's always dreamt about, something he's always wanted to do. And so I kind of let him, choose his path. And it's fortunate that he chose football, something I'm very familiar with. And it wasn't easy for him because, he had to, withstand stuff he didn't want to do, but the sacrifices he made throughout his career in Pop Warner and stuff. But man, yeah, it was a blessing to be able to watch. I only have one, right? So I have 6 kids, 1 boy, 5 girls. So I had one shot to get it right,
And you did,
So.
and it's kind of funny sometimes how it works out. And how's he Kaika Athletics doing, by the way?
Oh, it's been great. That's just been a blessing to be able to not just help train my son and develop him, but develop so many other kids as well, and see so many other kids accomplish their goals and dreams and go to college and play football. That's always been my heart. Something that God's given me was the ability to be a blessing to other people, and that's my hope and prayer as head coach, to continue to pay it forward, especially in the community that I was born and raised in. There's so much potential, so much opportunity nowadays, and so I feel like that's where God's calling me, is to go back to my high school, go back to my community, and really give back to the kids there and the parents, and help build up young men and young leaders.
Mike, congratulations to you. Looking forward to watching your team here over the coming year, and looking forward to seeing what Anelu does down the road. But congratulations to you. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Much love, Josh. Thank you so much.